My baby daughter just turned 13, and we spent the whole weekend catering to her, making sure that she had the best time ever, giving her presents. We went on a little trip as a family, and we had a blast. But watching her and watching her excitement and all her emotions as she turned 13, and she actually came to me afterwards and said that it was the best birthday she'd ever had so far. I have a lot to live up to in coming birthdays, but anyway, listening to her and her excitement made me think a little bit about my 13th birthday. Now, my experience turning 13 was a bit different. During my 13th year of life, we had my mom tell us that she was pregnant with the fifth kid, who turned out to be a baby sister that I love. My dad was diagnosed with a terminal illness and ended up in dialysis, which he was on for 20 years. Because of my dad's illness, my mom started spending a lot more time away from home. And keep in mind that my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so having her be gone for hours and days at a time was really not just new but difficult for us. And because of all of those things, I ended up having to step up and take the reins at a lot of things in the house. And I had to stop being this naive daydreamer who didn't do anything but listen to music and read all day, to taking care of my sisters and helping around the house and making sure that everything was taken care of when my mom was away. Now, I don't say any of these things to just be like, oh, poor baby, poor Marcy, and have a pity party. They were actually experiences that helped me grow. But as I was looking at my baby go through her 13th birthday experience, I started to think about all these things that happened when I was 13 and how different my life would be today if I had not experienced those things. And that led me to think about 3 Gs that go together, that we seldom think about in one space, but that I think are the key to transforming your life, your business, and your future in a positive and productive way. Are you ready to know what those 3 Gs are? Let's find out. So today, I want to talk to you about 3 Gs, 3 concepts that all start with the letter G, that actually go hand in hand and they work together. And if we can pinpoint how to tap into the force, the strength, and the power of these 3 Gs, then we are sure to transform not just our businesses, but our lives, our relationships, and our futures in general. Tapping into these 3 Gs can make the difference between having experiences like the one I had when I was 13 and letting that overtake you and destroy you, or turning those into stepping stones for amazing, new, wonderful, incredible, positive things. Tapping into the power of these 3 Gs can make the difference between a thriving and growing business and a business that stagnates. It can make the difference between a relationship that flourishes and a relationship that dwindles and dies. It can make the difference between having the lifestyle, the resources, and the positive environment around you that you crave and that you want, or feeling stuck and like you can't go anywhere fast. Are you curious what those 3 Gs are? I kind of mentioned one already, but the 3 Gs are gratitude, growth, and goodwill. Now, gratitude has become kind of like a tag phrase or a cliche in the personal development industry. Every guru and expert out there talks about gratitude in one way or another. In fact, those who are proponents of having a set morning routine as part of what elevates your life to this other level always, without fail, have some sort of gratitude attached to their morning routines, whether it is just thinking of 3 to 10 things that you're grateful for that are going well, whether it is visualizing good, positive things with an attitude of gratitude as though it has already happened, or whether it is any other form. For the most part, I still haven't found one who has any kind of morning routine that they propose and that they present that doesn't include some form of gratitude in there. Now, there's science to back up why gratitude is so important, and I won't go too much into the science, but suffice it to say that your brain really can't tell the difference between something that you're just thinking about and something that is actually happening. So when you put your mind to work in looking for those spaces of gratitude, and you do it in such a vivid way that you feel the gratitude inside your heart, then your entire body responds as though that amazing, wonderful, positive thing is happening right there in the moment, including releasing dopamine and all these other wonderful hormones that we need in order to have energy and excitement and to be able to throw ourselves into whatever it is that we're doing. So gratitude does have that element of helping propel us forward. But one of the things that I think we do a little bit of disservice with when we talk about gratitude in the personal development space is that we forget that it is also important to look for the gratitude in the things that are not so obviously positive, to look for the gratitude in absolutely everything. So it's not just sit there and think about 3 to 4 things that you're grateful for today. It is think back to the things that you still regret. Think back to the things that are still hard, that you still have emotion that is charged to the negative over those things, right? So things that you think about and you get sad or you get depressed, or things that you think about and they make you angry or upset, or things that you don't want to mention that are so painful for you that you don't even want to think about them. And look for the ways to be grateful when it comes to those things, right? So it's taking it one step further. Like I mentioned, when I turned 13, my dad was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Now, any normal human being in their right brain would know that your parent, especially the parent that is the breadwinner, being diagnosed with a terminal disease is not a fun, happy, beautiful thing that you're instantly going to be grateful for. Now, understand, I know people have it a lot worse. I know people go through a lot more difficult things than I did. I know I've had a blessed, beautiful life. And I'm not trying by any means to diminish or put down or take away from any pain that you might have gone through. But here's what I learned through my experience. When I look back at my dad getting ill, I could have been really pissed. And I was really terrified for a long time, right? I was worried about what was going to happen. Were we going to lose our house now that he couldn't work as much? And he eventually had to end up quitting his job, right? Like he couldn't work anymore. What were we going to do for food? We had now 5 kids instead of 4. Were we going to be able to look at all these things and provide for all these people in the same way now that my dad wasn't around? I loved the house that we live in. Were we going to lose it? Were we going to have to switch schools? I was worried about a lot of things. But the more I grew, and this didn't happen when I was 13, right? It grew over time. The more I grew, the more I was able to realize certain things. My dad was a terrible workaholic. The last few years before he got sick, he would leave the house before we woke up to go to school, and he would come back from work after we were already in bed. So for days and sometimes weeks at a time, we would not see my dad because he would be focused on work. Now, guess what happened after he got sick? He was home a whole lot more, right? So we got to see him more. We got to share more time with him. And sometimes now that I think back and I'm looking for those elements of gratitude, I am grateful because I know for a fact that if my dad hadn't gotten sick, we would have lost him a lot sooner than we did. He lived 20 years after the diagnosis. He had dialysis for 20 years and was still around. Yes, he was very different. And yes, he was in pain a lot of the time. But we had him in the house and we had him to spend time with, to learn from him, to get a lot of his wisdom, to have a lot of important conversations that we needed to have. And that wouldn't have happened, I am convinced, if he hadn't gotten ill. Like he would have been so involved in work, he either would have destroyed his marriage and our family eventually, or he would have had a sudden death by heart attack or stroke or something like that because of the stresses from his job. So I am able to be grateful for the extra time I had with him and the fact that we actually had him. As I look back and I try to look for the gratitude in the negative. So when I mention gratitude, especially in this space as a key for transforming your life, your business, and your future, it's important to be grateful not just for the little things in the right now, which is important, right? And it's a start. It's to sit down and look at what can you be grateful for right now. Like, I'm grateful for technology. I'm grateful for this light, because if I turned off that light, you would not be able to see my face right now. I'm grateful for virtual backgrounds. I'm grateful for my doggy that's laying down next to me. I'm grateful for my 13-year-old baby that's in the next room. I'm grateful for breathing clean air. I'm grateful for eyeglasses that I'm able to see. I'm grateful for blue ink pens. I'm grateful for paper. I'm grateful for wireless mouse for my computer. I'm grateful for a lot of little things right now. And that makes right now feel a lot more special. And I know that if you could look around, you would be able to find a million different things to be grateful for. But it's also important to look back at the things that still have you anchored to your past because of the negativity that you've attached to them, or because you put them in such a high place that everything else in your life compared to that just feels null and void and unimportant, and reframe them so that you can get the gratitude from them and use that gratitude today instead of letting it anchor you in less than empowering emotions, right? Like, I could still be in that anger that my dad got taken away from me way earlier than he might have needed to. Like, he was 58, I think, when he died. So he was quite young. And I could still be angry at the fact that he got taken away from me and from my mom. I could be angry at the fact that my mom ended up having to take a job cleaning houses in order to make ends meet. I could be angry at the fact that at 13, I had to cook and clean and help my siblings and go pick up my sister from school and bring her home and do all these things at 13. I could be angry that part of my youth was quote unquote taken away because of all these circumstances. But instead, I'm grateful that I got to spend more time with my dad. I'm grateful that because of that experience, I stepped into my leadership early on. I'm grateful that because of that, I know for a fact that I'm able to do hard things, because if I did them there, I can do them now, right? So regardless of what you're looking at, and again, I'm not trying to dismiss any terrible experience that you might have had. I know people who have had terrible experiences, and I could probably tell you stories that would make yours look tiny because of all the people that I've talked to over the years and all the experiences that I've heard from them. But the exercise is to look for even one thing that you can be grateful for, one way in which that negative thing or that thing that was hard to go through helped you become a better person today. One way in which, if that had not happened, you would be different and it would not be a great thing that you're different. Right? One way in which you can be grateful for, maybe not the experience itself because the experience sucked, but grateful for the transformation that it started in you, or grateful for the knowledge and the understanding you have now that can help others, or grateful for the support that you were able to find and that maybe now you can point others to. So I'm not saying we don't have rough things happen. I'm saying that if we stay in the rough, if we stay in the pain, we're going to be anchored to those negative things forever, and we're not going to be able to move forward. The way to move forward is to find at least one thing to be grateful for that came as a result of that thing, right? So I'm not telling you if you were raped to be grateful that you were raped. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. And it diminishes, in my opinion, the experience that you went through. But I'm saying, what happened as a result of that rape? What chain of events started? What support did you receive? What lesson did you learn? What new empathy did you develop towards someone else? What new experiences did you have that you wouldn't have had before that you can be grateful for? So not the event itself, but the snowball that it started, or something that came as a result of that thing. If you can't find a way to be grateful, even for the hard things, then like I said, you're just stuck in there. And that being cemented in that negative experience is not going to let you move forward confidently. So find a way to bring gratitude to that experience in one way, shape, or another, right? And once you do that, then you can look at the present and find even more gratitude. And you can look toward the future, even though it hasn't happened yet, but be grateful for what you know you can create, for what you know is about to happen, for what you know has been placed in your hand, that it's yours and no one else's, and that you can do amazing things with. Which leads to the other G, which is growth. Now, growth is an essential part of life. If you're not growing, you're dying. And I'm not the one saying that. That is all the great thinkers of times have said it in one way or another, right? It is important to grow. And it is important to grow emotionally, mentally, spiritually. If you can grow physically, that is actually something that is possible. If you can continue to work on your physical being healthier and being stronger, that is growth, right? So you get to work on growing in every aspect of your life, relationally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, even physically. And growth is essential for transformation. If you are staying in the same spot, then you're obviously not going to transcend and move or transform into that other space that you can get to. But today I want to focus on the growth that comes with or attached to this idea of being grateful. So once you can go to the past and look at the difficult things and find reasons to be grateful, the next thing that you can do is look at how those things helped you grow or how they can fuel your upcoming growth, right? So for me, experiencing my dad getting sick on the same, or my dad being diagnosed the same year that my baby sister was born, allowed me to grow into the space of leadership and of taking ownership and responsibility for my own life that I hadn't had before. And so what kind of growth can you attribute to those experiences of the past? What kind of growth can you see in yourself already that is the result of your experiences of the past, or of the decisions that you made based on the experiences of the past, right? So growth always comes from decision. If there's no decision, there's no growth. You have to decide to use the experiences in a way that is empowering and that is productive. And that has a lot to do with what we were talking about earlier with the gratitude piece, right? So it's important to look at what you have experienced, how it has made you different, how it has transformed you, and look at specific ways in which you have grown. Now, one exercise that I would encourage you to do, like right now, today, this second, is sit down and write down the most pivotal experiences in your life, right? So when you think back, what are those things that you know there's a before and after in your life, right? Like I know there's a before my little sister, not my baby sister. My little sister was born because I was the only girl in the house. And there was an experience there that changed completely after she was born. So there's a before and after there. There's a before and after my 13th year. There's a before and after starting college and moving away far from home. There's a before and after returning home and realizing a lot of things. Like there's a lot of moments in your life that mark a before and after. You were one way before, or things were one way before. And then after that experience or that moment, things seem to shift and change and become something else. So I would encourage you to write down the ones that you can remember right away. Like don't sit there and try to draw things out necessarily, but maybe set a timer for 2-3 minutes, 3 minutes at the top, at the most, and write down all those pivotal moments that you can think of that are before and afters, right? There will be several. Yeah, it's very rare to have someone who can only think of one, and even when they do, it's just because they're avoiding thinking of certain things. Write those down. After you have written those down, then go back and think about, why is it a before and after? What were you like before? And what were you like after? What lessons did you learn? How did you change? Right? And as you think about how you changed, think about which of those things have been growth that has moved you in the positive way, and which of those things are still holding you back in not so positive things, right? Like there's this element of fear that came with my dad getting sick that I'm still working to get through. And every time I do this exercise, I have to think about that moment and what fear is still there and what I can do to continue to rise above that fear, right? And the thing, well, fear is a conversation for another time. The thing about fear is that unless you face it, you can't grow past it, right? So once you have the positives, celebrate those. Celebrate those. Keep those in a list. Maybe that list is called what I'm really good at, or where I've grown, or what I've learned, and celebrate those and put those in a list that you can go back and look at anytime you need evidence that you can do amazing, hard things. And then the things that are still in the negative, take the time to think about how you can be grateful for those things, what you can do to change the way you perceive those things and to move them from things that anchor you to the past into elements of growth, right? So for example, that fear from that time, every time I look at it, I can think of something else that I can use that fear for. Like I've learned that because I have that fear, that means that there's something great that I can do at the other end of it. And when I can identify specifically what I'm afraid of, and I can lean into that fear and use it, then it helps me have exponential growth every time I do that. So look at ways in which you can use those things that have been holding you back and pivot them towards being tools for your growth instead of anchors holding you back. And then finally, goodwill. If we can live our experiences in this world being happy for others, wishing others the very best, trying to use what we have gone through, what we have learned in our own experiences in a way that is positive and productive for other people, then we can take any experience and turn it from a negative into a positive. Because if we are supporting and helping one another, if we are truly living every day trying to help someone else get what they want, we can experience what Zig Ziglar meant when he said you can have anything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want. So when you focus on others, that takes away fear. When you focus on others, that makes your work and your life meaningful. When you focus on others, that fuels and drives you, because most of us will do more for others than we will for ourselves. When you focus on others, you create a completely different culture and environment around you, where there is support, where there is positivity, where there is encouragement, where there is growth for everybody. So goodwill is key to any kind of elevation and transformation, is key to any kind of growth and progress. And it's key to living the life that you want, having the business that you want, and creating a future that you can be proud of. So if all else fails, if you have a hard time figuring out what to be grateful for today, if you have a hard time looking back and identifying how you've grown, and if you have a hard time figuring out how you still want to grow, how you want to be different tomorrow than you are today, then tap into goodwill. Tap into how you can support others in their journey. Tap into how you can be happy for someone else's growth and success. Tap into how you can support the people around you and create an environment that supports others. And the rest will come with it. It will come together. So the idea here and the invitation today is to focus on these 3 G's. And as we approach here in the United States, at the time of this recording, we're approaching Thanksgiving and the holidays. As we approach this time period, don't wait until New Year's to make New Year's resolutions that don't work. Don't wait until Thanksgiving Day to think about one thing that you can say when we go around the dinner table talking about our gratitudes. Don't wait for Hanukkah or Christmas to look at the miracles around you. Take every opportunity you have in the coming days before the new year arrives to take stock of what you're grateful for, truly, and how you can turn even the most negative experiences into opportunities to be grateful for what you have learned and the way in which you have grown as a result of them. Take stock of your growth. Be really clear on how different you are today from the way you were yesterday, the skills that you've learned, the talents that you've honed in, the things that you have mastered. And think about the things that you're still working towards growing in and towards becoming better at. And then finally, focus on goodwill. What can you do every day to help someone else feel better, be better, grow themselves? What can you do to support and help others on their journey? How can you help someone else feel better and be better? Because in turn, that will help you feel better and be better. Now, I hope this has been helpful. I know I went a little bit ethereal today, but I hope that you do the exercise of taking stock of your pivotal moments and how they have helped you shift. It will change how you see your past and how you face your future. And if this has been helpful, I invite you to share it with someone else in your life that you know can benefit from it. And in the meantime, I have something else that I hope you'll be grateful for. I'm inviting you to take advantage of one-on-one coaching for the price of group coaching. So if you have been in the personal development space ever, you know that one-on-one coaching is a higher investment because you get your coach one-on-one working with you. You get your customized help in the areas that you need. So if you are looking to grow your leadership, to be a confident leader who can stand for your cause or your movement, to get your messaging so clear that you can tell anybody, anywhere, even in 30 seconds, what it is that you do and why it's important to you. If you're looking to grow your visibility for yourself, for your brand, for your cause, for your business, or if you're simply looking to create a platform where you can leverage your knowledge and your skills and your talents, then this is the opportunity for you. I have a few spaces for one-on-one coaching at the price of my group coaching. So if you've been around, you know that the one-on-one is the elevated, high-ticket, expensive investment. I am offering it to you at the low investment of a digital course. So go ahead and send me a message at marcy@marcyamaro.com. I will put the information in the description, but marcy@marcyamaro.com, and in the subject line, write Black Friday deal. Black Friday deal. And I will send all the details your way so you can take advantage of this short, limited time, limited space offer to work with me one-on-one. I look forward to chatting and to seeing what your goals are and how I can help you. So until next time, this has been Sincerely Speaking, and I'm Marcy Amaro, and I can't wait to chat with you personally one-on-one. See you soon.